following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Mick Shots, streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And it is time for another edition of Mix Shots, and we've got news happening throughout the day here at the Star in Frisco as we are at midweek. Hey, this is like the regular work week begins today for a Sunday game because the Cowboys have a Sunday noon kickoff against the Jacksonville Jaguars at AT&T Stadium, who will be playing their first team offense, including their number one overall draft pick, Trevor Lawrence, who got named by Urban Meyer to be the starting quarterback to start the season. And here's the more shocking thing here, Mickey. He is going to start against the Cowboys on Sunday.
Really?
So, yes.
We'll see how good that second-team defense is.
There you go. And so, there's your Jacksonville Jag news off the top. And before Mickey jumps into the news of the day here at the Star, Everson, it's great having you back in studio.
Thank you very much. It's funny that you mentioned Spags jumping in because he came in here out of breath, man.
Yeah,
he's ready to go. Something's going on.
No, I was worn out from standing out there in that weather. Holy cow.
What is the temperature out there
today? I can
today?
tell you, when I walked into the building after Zeke did his interview, it was 95 degrees and the feel like was 108.
Yes.
It's 97 right now here in Frisco.
If it feels like it, then that's what it is.
It felt like 115.
They killed me with the temperature, and then there's the feel like.
There's the feel like.
To me, the index is the temperature.
The heat index right now, or it's the heat index high today is 104 degrees. Now, will that get you ready for the season opener at
Tampa
Tampa?
Bay weather, absolutely.
This is exactly what Mike McCarthy wanted.
And then you see some guys out there doing their drills and trying to get ready. Why?
Zeke
with sweats on?
Zeke had as much on, and he didn't have the fancy sweats. He had the old cotton things.
The huge, thick, pillowy sweats.
And then he had two long
That's
sleeve
your granddaddy
shirts.
wears.
Yeah, or you will wear in about 15 years, right? 2 sweatshirts, and it was like, are you kidding me? Yeah, it was. This was Austin, at least, maybe a little bit of Wichita Falls.
He always reminds me of back in the day we had to make weight. So guys be partying on the weekends, and your weight might be, you're barely under a pound or whatever. But by the time the weekend's over, you played your butt off. But then on Sunday night, Monday, then all of a sudden here comes Tuesday, you're off. Wednesday, you got to make weight. That's a lot of time in there.
Well, I remember
a lot of recreational time, which we don't always use to rest.
I remember when they were in Wichita Falls, when every morning at 9 o'clock was like this, and every afternoon it would be 110 or above with the wind blowing 20 miles an hour. They had to weigh in after practice, and then they had to weigh in before the second practice to make sure they put back the weight they lost.
Interesting.
Because of you lost so much liquid.
No one cared about losing weight back. All they cared about what you gained.
They made sure you ate too, because the last thing you want to do is eat when you're dehydrated.
They're so
right?
careful these days.
How about
That's so
that,
nice.
right?
It's almost like the mothers.
You're talking that they did that in Wichita Falls?
Yes.
Okay. So what did the GPS say on them back
they
in
didn't
Wichita
have
Falls?
no GPS. As a matter of fact, when we were in Austin, I remember. You remember Don Cochran, right?
Yes, of course.
He was the trainer. He would carry around this little metal ball, and it was supposed to measure the heat and the heat index with the humidity. And if it got to certain thing, they were supposed to take more breaks. They ain't calling off practice, but they're going to take more breaks, right?
When could they start drinking water?
So I heard one of the I can't remember who I heard this from. It was one of the coaches. They were talking about when he was in high school. So it reminded me of high school. 2-hour practice in August, and we got a break after 1 hour, and we got 2 ice cubes. because you had to be a man.
You remember they would keep
water.
you away from the water.
Oh yeah, no.
That was standard practice. No one gets water.
And before practice, you could take a handful of salt tablets. And
I never did
and
that.
ingest those.
I never did that. What was the point? I never understood that.
I guess you had to get sodium in. I don't know what the
But
deal
isn't that
was.
dehydrating you? Isn't that?
Well, no, because you think about pickle juice. What's in
Pickle
pickle
juice? That's right.
Remember
We got
that
our
game?
butts kicked on pickle juice.
It's all to keep you from cramping.
Yeah. When we had wrestling,
They don't care about you dying. It's just they don't want you cramping.
When we had wrestling practice, after practice, we had to run the hallways, right? And the head coach would hide by the door that was next to the drinking fountain. So the door was recessed, and he would be hiding in there, so you didn't know where he was. Didn't want you to stop to get water because that shows weakness.
It did. I mean, this is high school. That lets you know that coaches, they're just evil people. Let's just call it what it is. They enjoyed it. They enjoyed it while we were out there just killing ourselves and failing, and they just sat there, and they made it worse because they would point out your failures knowing that they couldn't do any better.
The shocking thing was nobody died and no one got sick.
That is very shocking.
How'd you do in the Landry Mile?
At that time, I wasn't a jogger, but I was always in shape. So
Wasn't it the Landry Mile? What was it that they at the beginning of training camp?
Like-
Well, you know why they call it Landry Mile?
Yeah, what?
Because it's a mile and a half. That's why it's called the Landry Mile, because it's over a mile. Let's be clear on this.
And you had a time limit.
Yes,
right?
you did. Yes.
So-
and Dennis Thurman was the best. Ron Fellows.
So what times are we looking at? You remember what?
I think at the time I was younger, so I could still run it faster than I can now, even though I'm better at it and I'm older. I think I may have made a mile in about 15 minutes, maybe.
Oh, you did it
much
faster
faster
Did I
than
do
that.
faster than that?
No,
maybe that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing now, right?
Walk that.
I'm walking 15 minutes now. No, it's about 10 minutes, and so you went about. It took about 15. It took about 15 overall. The mile and a half.
I
I thought it was up a hill, wasn't it?
No, it was just around.
Oh, it was around the track?
If you didn't make it, then you had to
run
you had
the
to
hill?
Go with
Up
with
to the
Tom.
CLC,
or walk with him
You up to the
yes.
CLC,
Yeah.
which is up to the
Okay.
the butt of the mountain.
Yeah, because back then you would have run if it was just 1 mile you're running.
About 10
No,
miles,
you would
10
have
minutes.
done. You would have done
You'd have about
6.
7 or 8.
You sure?
You would have done 6
You
minutes.
just didn't know me back
When we
then.
were when we were in high school, we had to do it in 12, which.
That's a slow jog.
But when you're young, you're not used to running distances.
No one was jogging back then, Bill.
No
I
one
mean,
ran.
you should have seen guys. The linemen. Hey, 15 was good for a lineman. I'm just saying, we hated it. We didn't run with purpose. We ran because we were getting punished. We looked at it as punishment, so we didn't really put that effort into it.
And Babe Laufenberg was telling me the other night that the Jimmy in the asthma field, beginning of camp in the summer. Of course, they did it at Valley Ranch,
1989.
And I want to say I'm trying to remember the number of 110s that Jimmy had to run.
It was
17 110s, and they had to do it. You had
depending on the position.
Yeah, in a certain amount of time.
What they did was they would. It didn't matter
That's
really
right, you
what
were
the
there.
time was.
You were there, yeah.
It was a matter of getting back. You recall we had to walk back. So the time wasn't just what you did the 110s in. It was also the cumulative time of you coming back.
And you had to rest, and then the other guys would go.
So we would go in stages.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you the kicker was holding the stages up. You know, that's why he got mad at it, because we're going to stages and the kickers, he held up the kicker's stage.
Because he was dragging.
Yeah, he was dragging the whole thing. And that held us back.
Coach, I got asthma.
Do you remember that?
I remember, yes, of course I do.
Well,
yes.
I mean, because it got played up, and here we are
It got
32
played
years
up,
later,
I
and we're
thought
still
it was-
talking about it.
I
but
thought it was
didn't
a
know
bunch
at
of
the time.
crap.
Well,
I
you know
really
what
did.
it was. He was expendable. He wasn't going to be the
Yeah,
kicker.
it was just like Hard Knocks. We were just talking about Hard Knocks. I mean, everything is staged. That was Jimmy's time to show that he was Jimmy. That I'm coming in here and these guys are used to losing and I'm going to show them something different. Well, you pick on a kicker, we were not impressed as players, by the way.
And a guy that wasn't going to, I think it was.
We knew he wasn't going to make the team.
Was it Massimo Manca or something like that? He was kind of foreign or whatever.
And I thought that was so cruel because, I mean, this is this guy's dream.
Right.
And now he's being used as some peg, and that just kind of, it really pissed me off a little bit. I'm not gonna
But
lie.
he got the message across.
list.
Yeah, and we're still 1-15 when the day is done.
Absolutely.
And we're still talking about it 32 years later.
Exactly.
All right, bring us up to speed on what the news of the day is here, Mickey.
All right. The Cowboys had 2 more players go on the COVID-19 reserve list. DeMonte KZ, who we suspected yesterday when he wasn't at practice, and they talked about one guy had to be retested. Well, he was the guy being retested and ended up testing positive, along with Connor Williams.
Oh, Lord.
Is now on the COVID-19 list. They got one guy off.
So give me the protocol.
Israel Mukwamu. Got it out, didn't I?
You did. Very good.
He's back in.
And so he can play Sunday.
Yes. So he was a close contact. He obviously was vaccinated, which means he just needed to have 2 negative tests over a 48-hour or 24-hour period.
Yeah. 2.
So if you're positive,
If you're vaccinated.
I understand.
Yeah.
If you're
vaccinated and
close contact. Okay, if you're positive and you're vaccinated,
This is what I wanna know, yeah.
then you it's a 48-hour deal. I think it might be a 5-day. Is that right? 5? I think it's 5. But you got to test negative twice before you're allowed back. If you're unvaccinated, it's a 10-day period.
Damn. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Wow.
My understanding is if you're vaccinated and tested positive, then you have to produce 2 negative tests at least 24 hours apart from each other, and then you can return.
And vaccinated individuals will not be subject to quarantine as a result of close contact with an infected person. If you're asymptomatic.
And see, in the case of Cam Newton in New England, he left the area, and then he had to go into quarantine for 5 days, even though he hadn't tested positive or anything. But they assume and maybe it's because he's not vaccinated. I don't know for sure. Maybe he is vaccinated. Okay. I'm not sure.
And I'm wondering,
but
that's a lot of days
that's a different protocol there where the 5 days comes in.
And it's because he left the area?
Yeah, and there was a misunderstanding. He went to see a doctor outside the area, and because there was a potential exposure, and when he came back, he had to quarantine for 5 days. Yeah.
That's crazy.
No, he didn't test positive or didn't have any symptoms. It was he just came back, and but since he
because
left,
he was outside the area.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Rico Dowdle ended up with a hip injury after the game, and he has been placed on injured reserve, so that means he's out for the season. So the third running back, if they keep 3, is wide open, or maybe they keep a fullback and just 2 running backs. Trayvon Diggs missed practice with an illness, not COVID, an illness.
This was a good day to miss practice out in the 104-degree heat.
If you were
index.
planning ahead, right? So by my count, they've got 4 guys on injured reserve now because they've got
for the season.
5 guys on the COVID reserve, and just 2 guys left on PUP because Zerline came off.
And he came out. He was activated, and that's why they made the move on Dowdle today to put him on injured reserve, right, to clear the roster spot.
Right. No, they actually needed to clear that roster spot yesterday before they put Williams and KZ on COVID-19. So 10 more guys I counted are either rehabbing or missing practice because they've been hurt. So I counted 21 guys, including the IR guys, the COVID guys, the PUP guys, and guys that were rehabbing injuries that didn't practice, were not a part of the practice today. And 21 out of, they started with 90, right?
Right.
So pretty short-handed at the safety position.
Yeah, and you haven't mentioned the other injury at the safety position, number 6.
Oh, yeah, and Donovan Wilson, he was one of my 10, got a groin strain, and he left practice early yesterday. We weren't sure why he walked off, and it ended up being a groin strain. So the safety position, it's a good thing Mukwamu came back today because they were down to like 4 guys. So when they lined up with the first-team defense, it was Jaron Kearse and Darian Thompson, the starting 2 safeties, and the second guys ended up being Coyle and Parker.
Stephen Parker and Tyler Coyle.
Yes. So those were the backup guys. So, yeah, I thought they were going to have to start moving corners to safety to get through, and then McQuamu came back. This stuff is real, all right? And it's going around the NFL right now. It's going through this organization right now. And I looked in the paper this morning for the high schools that are starting on Thursday. There's already 10 games this weekend canceled. Already because of COVID.
This is crazy.
So,
So in regards to the NFL, what team is in more dire straits than we are?
There have been several teams that have had a handful of players who have gone into COVID protocol. In fact, the week of the Arizona game, the only reason I'm familiar with it, like the Arizona game and preparing for the game, they had 4 or 5 players that were in COVID protocol that week. So it hasn't been unusual that teams would have players in COVID protocol. Now, whether they tested positive or not it's uncertain because they don't have to reveal that. And usually within a week, those guys come back. And so I think if you go around the league, there's probably, I don't know how many teams, but I know that there have been a number of teams that have dealt with, I don't recall one that's had as many as 6 as what the Cowboys have right now. This
is as many, if not just one less than they had all last year.
Yeah.
And it's haven't played a game yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it tells you this is real, and it's why Jerry came out and said what he said yesterday when he did his interview with the fan. He came out pretty strong.
And the big thing is for the Cowboys, right now they've got a 93, as of the beginning of this week, 93% vaccination rate among the players, according to Jerry or Steven. I can't remember who said that, but. And then there are some of that,
and there's at the press
conference. That's right. That was it. That was in the release when.
And this is just the team itself. This has nothing to do with doctors and
100% of the staff.
100% of the staff and 93% of the players. And there are some that are en route to getting fully vaccinated. They've had the shots, but they haven't had the 2 week, or they haven't spent the 2 weeks since the second shot to be considered fully vaccinated.
And when you start talking about 93%, that 7% that's huge.
Well, I mean, it's a 90-man roster, and so it's fairly easy to do the math. But
it also depends on the quality of that particular player.
Right.
One player may weigh more than the other. I mean, you got a special teams guy that might be, test positive, but let's say you've got, I don't want to throw any names out there, but a wide receiver that doesn't want to take a shot, and all of a sudden he's sick. Everybody else, and he's a starter.
Well, here's the issue with that. In fact, Buffalo's dealing with it right now. Because Cole Beasley's in COVID protocol, and it's widely known that,
and he's freaking amazing. He's that dude.
But he has been very vocal that he's not getting vaccinated. Well, he's in COVID protocol right now because he's a close contact. Not that he didn't test positive, and being unvaccinated. He has to spend, even if he was considered a close contact, he has to spend 10 days in quarantine.
And that started last week, right?
And so that's the huge thing once you get towards the regular season, okay? Now you get somebody in his position group who tests positive, and since he was in close contact, now
with the rest of his
let's
position.
say on a Friday, another wide receiver tests positive. Well, Cole, you're not only missing this Sunday's game, but it's 10 days, you're going to miss next Sunday's game too. If the timing happened like that.
Of course, yes.
And so if you have unvaccinated players, you have to keep them away during meetings and stuff. They have to.
It's kind of hard to do, man.
Yeah,
you say that.
Well, they're
keep them away from who? It's a football game.
They're doing a lot.
No, it's not so much on the field. Okay, because
that's the weird part.
On the
that's
field,
the weird part.
Right.
You can't keep them away.
But if you're on the sideline, if you're in meeting, especially in meetings indoors, have to be.
They're starting to go more virtual meetings.
Yeah.
They do a virtual meeting with Dan Quinn, who's still out. They're spreading out. They're having the meetings back in Ford Center where they can spread out in the corridors. The whole thing is like you're going back to where you were. And that's why Jerry came out so strongly yesterday. And I'm going to read you what he had to say. Mm-hmm. You certainly don't want to be doing anything that causes your teammates to not be available. All of that comes to the same conclusion as far as what you agreed to be as far as a player, to be part of a team. You check I at the door, so to speak. Right. It's about we. Everyone has the right to make their own decision in regards to their health and their body. I believe that completely. Until that decision on yourself impacts negatively on others, then the common good takes over. I'm arm waving here, but everything to do with how I look at our team and how I look at our society.
And that's it right there. It's not just the team, it's society as well. So that could be said from 1600 Pennsylvania as well as here at the Star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it could be said in the Plano School District where they had a big meeting on wearing masks in school, and there was a bunch of people there saying, I need my freedom. You know, I should be able to decide. And they're saying, no, you better mask up. So, yeah, this thing is raging once again. So if you want some good news, Dak Prescott did, for the first time, take part in some of the team drills, the 11-on-11, and actually threw the ball. And I saw him throw the ball a good 30 yards to Dalton. I think it was Dalton Schultz. Mm-hmm. And it was a completion, and his arm didn't fall off.
It's still attached to his body.
Still attached.
All right.
So if you needed some good news, that was the good news. And Cooper Rush continued to take the snaps with the first team in the other drills they were doing. But Dak did just a 7-man passing route thing. He did a little bit of 7-on-7, and then when they did team, I think he had 3 separate occasions he went out with the first team 11-on-11.
So you think Gary Gilbert's performance or lack thereof, do you think that had anything to do with Cooper Rush being?
Oh, yeah.
That and,
so you think? Do you think
it has
if,
to do
if,
with
if,
Cooper Rush's performance, not Gilbert's?
So if Gilbert would have just really balled out the way Rush did, let's say if their performances would have been switched.
They wouldn't have been switched. Yeah,
you still think they would have been?
No, they would not have been.
They would not have been.
If Gilbert had done what Cooper did last game, then. Yeah,
he left the door open.
Yes, he did.
And now it's up to Rush to see, can I do that 2 weeks in a row?
And now, okay, according to Urban Meyer this morning, Jacksonville, he said, now we'll see. He may get to Sunday and decide against it. But he said that all healthy players are going to play. And so Cooper Rush will go up against what is essentially Jacksonville's first-team defense. Yes. He did say Miles Jack, who's playing very well for him, it's probably not going to play. Mm-hmm. The way he terms it, it's whether you're game ready or not, and he considers Miles Jack to be game ready.
Does this remind you of Jimmy Johnson taking over in '89?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with Jacksonville. Here's the other thing about the Cowboys are in a different position than Jacksonville, not only because of expectations, because, okay, Jacksonville's got a rookie quarterback. Were they 1-15 last year? They had the top pick in the draft, so they were whatever they were. And so they are not going to the Super Bowl this year, right? And Trevor Lawrence needs as many reps as he can get, right now. And you want to get your first-team guys out there with them, even though they're injury depleted on their offensive line. The other difference between Dallas and Jacksonville is Jacksonville has a full 2 weeks from Sunday until their first game against Houston. The Cowboys have what basically 11 days before they open the season the following Thursday. So the timing of it is much more like years past when we would play a Thursday game to close out the preseason and then open the season on a Sunday. It's almost the same type thing. That's why I think you'll see more teams that will go ahead, and also the Cowboys this is their 4th preseason game, and
we got one more than everybody else.
You're right. And so I think across the league you will see. It's just up to the coach. You'll see more teams playing starters in this game because timing-wise, it's just like it was back when you played your dress rehearsal game. It was 2 weeks before the first game, and then the 4th game would be on a Thursday.
Yeah, and I kind of looked at it as just Trevor Lawrence himself. I thought that maybe him starting and probably starting for the entire preseason is something that he needed. because of him being a rookie and needing to come out strong for Jacksonville.
And they can control his snaps by plays they call, right? You don't call a lot of, 5-step drops, 7-step drops. It's 3 steps out, swing passes, get it out quick so you don't put them.
You're still working on those basic
way.
things that are going to be your staple for your offensive
just
team.
to go over this real quick. So active PUP, still 2 guys, Chauncey Golston and Tristan Hill. I get a feeling both of those guys may end up on that to start the season. Because when you start looking at the cuts, and you would have to make
active
some cuts.
PUP, meaning
they're active PUP now, but they will go on PUP, and then they got to miss 6 weeks, six games.
So they do not count against the 53-man roster
at that point,
because they have not participated in a practice so far.
Exactly.
They've been on PUP since the beginning of.
They also have
camp.
One guy on NFI, non-football injury, T.J. Vasher, the wide receiver from Texas Tech.
So they can stash him.
He could stash him.
He doesn't count against the roster.
And then already on injured reserve means you're out for the season. Rico Dowdle, Reggie Robinson, Shewu Lanalua, and Mitch Hyatt. And then on the reserve COVID-19 list, Malik Hooker, DeMonte KZ, Connor Williams, CeeDee Lamb, and Carlos Watkins. So Malik Hooker's getting himself in a little bit of a jam here because he was late to try to show him what he can still do coming back from the ruptured Achilles. And he just played the first time this past game. And now he's probably not playing unless he – my understanding with him, he was within distance of the second shot, but you had to be 2 weeks removed from the second shot.
Right.
So that meant he was late getting his shots. And the safety, now the safety position, they're stressed. What's going to happen? Is Donovan Wilson going to be ready?
And start working out again. Come on, man.
So is your understanding Hooker tested positive, or was he a close contact?
Where's my list? He's got. It says he must have tested positive. He's got 2 shots, but he's not 2 weeks removed from the second one. So I think he wasn't a close contact. McQuamu was close contact. Where was the other guy? I was trying to see if I had them all on here. So yeah, if you were vaccinated and it was close contact, you'd be back by now, right?
Well,
if you were asymptomatic.
Well, it depends. Like, for instance, on Hooker, depends on when he got his test.
Right.
And so maybe he gets fully maybe that 2-week time period ends before Sunday and he could play if he didn't test positive.
If he makes the roster.
If he was a client.
If he makes the roster.
No, I'm talking about this Sunday.
Oh, okay.
If let's say he got his second shot 2 weeks ago Friday.
Right.
This Friday. 2 weeks ago. Okay. Then he would be fully vaccinated on Friday and then could play in the game on Saturday if he was a close contact. And otherwise, if he's not vaccinated, he has to spend 10 days in quarantine as a close contact.
So can you leave guys on COVID so you didn't have to cut them?
Well, one thing about it, because of the guys on COVID, they didn't have to do the cuts this week.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
There could be some fudging going on.
All right, Mickey, do you have your reads? Are you ready to read when we come back here in a second?
Let's see if I have that.
He's going to go find it. Otherwise, it could be really interesting because he'll do it by memory when we come back on Mix Shots.
Sounds like he does.
Big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way. Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Hey, Cowboys fans, ready to spice up your next watch party? Bring Yo Quiero guacamole and be the game day hero. Yo Quiero means I want, and we know you want great, fresh-tasting, ready-to-serve guacamole for your home gating and tailgating events. Made with real avocados and the perfect blend of spices, it will be the star of any party. You can find us at your local Albertsons or Tom Thumb in the deli section. If you can't find it, talk to your store manager and tell them, Yo Quiero guacamole.
It's game day. You know what that means. First, kebab prep. Steak, pepper, onion, steak, pepper, onion. Next, a counterclockwise lap around the room. Now the lucky grease-stained jersey goes on. And lastly, the dance. You know the one. This is a game day ritual no matter where you are. Whether you're traveling to the game or watching from your favorite vacation spot, book a place to stay on Hotels.com and keep the tradition alive and well. Hotels.com, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back to Mick Shots.
The New Era Sideline Collection has landed in stores so fans can wear the same headgear as the team. Just head to the Pro Shop, your official store of Cowboys Nation, and get the 2021 New Era Draft Cap. Visit your local Dallas Cowboys Pro Shop or online at shop.dallascowboys.com.
All right, very good there, Mickey.
Get to change the copy.
All right.
That was good.
You must have wrote it yourself.
I did.
Yeah.
Headwear and headgear.
There you go. All right, we continue here on Mix Shots. And by the way, we will be along again on Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock, right, Mickey?
Correct.
Okay. So I want to find out Hard Knocks last night. Did you like it? I mean, how could you not like the intro to the show?
I was going to say the cinematic quality was top notch.
I did not see it.
Well,
you got to
go on
see
Twitter.
The opening.
It went viral on Twitter, and you can watch it. But the drone was it 3 minutes long?
3-minute drone flight
that started outside Tostitos Championship Plaza. It flew through a truck.
through the windows.
Through the statues. And the audio quality, it was like a radio, sports talk radio was playing it. You could hear as it went through the truck, and then it went through was it a yoga class out there?
Yeah, over a yoga class, through the door at the Ford Center.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And before it completed, it went through the structures in the weight room, like where the weights are racked. They went right through the middle.
Who was handling that thing?
I wanted to meet the pilot.
That's what I want to know.
Somebody with a joystick was doing a hell of it. Well, here's what I understand, too. It took them 15 tries, and the last one, my understanding was, it was perfect. So they didn't have to splice. I thought they spliced a whole bunch of takes together to get it.
I mean, it didn't look like there were any edits in that thing.
And
now they can.
And then the funny thing was, and I missed it, somebody told me, so when they did the credits at the end and they were showing some outtakes, they showed one where the drone clipped the little statues out in the star area.
Yeah.
But somebody flew that thing through everything.
See, I wonder how, in real time.
And it was a small drone.
It had to be to fit through the holes they were fitting it through.
Yeah. That's why it took 15 tries.
But I just don't understand how they do it to begin with. But and what speed does it go? And as it's flying, and how much do they speed it? It doesn't look like it's sped up. I mean, but with computer generated technology, you can make the people that are in the yoga class not be sped up while the drone is sped.
So you can see what Bill Jones thinks of Hard Knocks when that was the highlight of his 58-minute show.
I am looking at it as we speak. Wow.
The Oscar for Best
Cinematography?
Yeah, that just got won, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's Bill jogging. Wow, that was good.
I didn't understand how they didn't continue to address the Dak Prescott story. The fact that they film, and maybe they were running, I know they have deadlines, and so his workout Saturday at the game was pretty extensive, and I thought that would be pretty valuable, but they didn't show it. So I don't know if they weren't allowed to show it or what, but they were there filming.
But it's going to be on this next episode.
Or maybe it's on the next episode. Although they had stuff from the game, though.
They did, but now they've got 2 games, and you're moving closer to the season. I think it's more storylines. They probably had other stories they wanted to tell this week. And so, in some of those stories, maybe those players won't be on the team next week. I mean, the cut down day. Well, I think
that's a good point.
That's probably more than anything. So they'll do the Dak story, where they've got not only this past week but also Sunday, his pregame workout, and
so 2 more shows.
Two more shows
for Hard Knocks.
Yeah, 2 more
5
shows.
Episodes.
Right.
Okay.
So the cuts will happen the Tuesday before the last show.
And so the cuts will actually be in the last episode.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right.
It'll be
so this week will be included for next Tuesday's show, and this last that's getting late on the last.
Yeah.
So that's why I think they took a lot of the stuff that they shot on Saturday against the Texans will be in this coming show, and then the Turk and everything else, the cut downs and everything will be on the last show.
And they'll also have the start of the first week of practice for the season opener, which I think would be
because you're playing a Thursday.
It would be
with a Thursday game. The last episode will be the Tuesday before the Thursday game.
Yeah. So they've got a lot of more ground to cover. I'm still waiting for the Randy Gregory story. We haven't seen that. We got to get an update on Dak. Haven't seen that. Trying to think what else that they haven't done much with the offensive line. They did the Alarcon story.
Considering just how much in disarray we were last year in regards to the offensive line, you would think that would be one of the major stories. Just the group itself.
Yeah. Sort of
all
like,
of them are extremely unique individuals themselves, and the stories that they can tell. That would really go well.
So that sort of like the story we did for the pregame show, the first pregame show we did with Nate interviewing the 3 offensive linemen, Tyron, Lael, and Zach, which was really good. They could have done a 30-minute show on that. I saw the entire interview.
You can do 30 minutes on Nate alone.
Well, yeah, just asking questions, right? And if Hard Knocks saw that, they should have said, "Oh, let's use that." It was great. I mean, it was really informative because usually don't get Tyron to talk very much. Zach showed a little bit of his personality, and Lael's Lael. So I thought it was really good. And they could do that story. So we'll see where it goes from there.
All right, on the practice field today,
Yes.
what else caught your eye besides Dak Prescott throwing a 30-yard pass and completing it without his arm falling off?
Yes. Cooper Rush had a couple good throws, a couple good deep throws.
Can you see him improving? I mean, is this just Gary Gilbert letting it go, or is this Cooper Rush really
I think getting an
up?
opportunity because he's healthy. Remember, he missed time in training camp. First, he had back issue, and that cost him about at least 3 practices. And then he had developed a shoulder injury. He got hit in one of the preseason games, and he started missing practice that next week. And so finally he got an opportunity. I always thought his downside was he has a slow release. Like his arm has to go a long ways.
We talked about that last year.
Before he actually throws the ball. If I can put his recognition into DiNucci, we'd have us a backup quarterback, I think. And so, we'll see what he does. You got to do this consistently, but at least he's got his name now, at least in the conversation, and we'll see how he plays on Sunday.
All right, I'm curious. What have you seen with DiNucci and his recognition?
Oh, you mean because it's slow?
Based on what the coaches said, his recognition is not that good.
What Nussmeier was saying, why are you looking over there? You have no reason for your eyes to be
I did see, yes.
Your eyes aren't supposed to be there. You know what? He's got...
I think what you mean is DiNucci's release is a little quicker.
Oh, no, it's a lot quicker.
Yeah, just by nature.
And he's got a strong arm, too.
But it's the release is quicker, but the mechanics are horrible.
Yes, because of the sidearm?
Yes.
Yeah. And too many. Now it's good to do that once in a while.
He does it all the time.
Because you have to throw around somebody.
Yes,
that's fine. We see Mahomes do it all the time.
It looks cute when it's needy.
Yeah,
but when you don't need it, then it looks awkward.
It's like you got to come over the top. So, but he's
like the Mahomes no-look pass looks great until it gets intercepted and returned for a touchdown.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
The DiNucci passes.
Yes, right.
You know, and like on the 52-yard interception return. He underthrew that ball.
The one that got it the one that got tipped? Mm-hmm. Is that the one that got tipped?
Yeah, and it was and when he went to the sideline, he was curious what happened, and so a lot of it is just he's young,
right?
You know?
And I think it was Nussmeier pointed out to him because he thought he threw a nice pass.
Right.
Well, it got tipped. It didn't get to his receiver. And
so it was underthrown, in other words. Yeah. And so that's the difference playing at this level and playing at James Madison.
It didn't look like it was going to be complete.
No, it wasn't.
No.
Yeah. And then the last one, it was just a dead head
He was
throw.
just wondering how it got intercepted.
Yeah.
He knew it was going to be incomplete, but how did it get intercepted?
Yeah,
right.
I think that's what happened. So, he's still getting his reps. We'll see. You might want to keep him on. I mean, you got 16 spots on the practice squad.
Okay, I didn't mean to get sidetracked on DiNucci.
What else did I see?
But no. So where are we as far as a backup quarterback right now?
I think it's still up in the air. Don't you?
There's no doubt.
Right?
Yep, there's no doubt.
And that brings
I'd look at the Jacksonville team that's coming in here. They've got 4 quarterbacks, including C.J. Beathard as a veteran guy, and they've got who they got. I was looking at their roster today. They've got not only Gardner Minshew as a backup, but also C.J. Beathard as a backup, who's in his 5th year in the league and is actually.
They're not giving up Minshew.
No, they're not giving up Minshew, and so that's why I mentioned C.J. Beathard, a guy like that who has some starting experience in the league.
That's what you have to keep an eye on.
Those are the guys that'll get cut. And because they also have a 6th-round draft pick from last year, Jake Luton, by Sunday, I need to know how to pronounce his last name for sure. But one of those quarterbacks is going to get cut. They're not keeping 4 on their 53-man roster. So teams like that, that's why this is not going to be settled, even if Cooper Rush has the same performance on Sunday that he had last Saturday night. It's not going to get settled until after the cuts.
Now, to give you an idea, I wrote down quarterbacks that got cut these last couple days, and it's nothing to get excited about, right? Kenji Bahar, Jordan Te'amu. Atlanta signed.
You just wanted to do this so you could show off and show how you can pronounce these names.
Josh Rosen, former first rounder, got released, and Atlanta signed him. Atlanta signed him again.
Yeah, he's about to get released again.
He's always getting released.
So Anthony Gordon, Delvin Hodges, Danny Etling, Alex McGough, Eric Dungy. These are guys that been released over these last 2 days.
It sounds like you just read off the Alliance of American Football.
Yes, exactly. So there's still some guys that have to be released. Oh, by the way, the Saints signed Jeff Heath too.
Yeah, I saw that.
And Lance Lenore got released by Buffalo.
So the Raiders got rid of Heath.
Yeah, he had been let go as a cap casualty back at the beginning of the spring.
Right.
Yeah, and so he was, and it was last week sometime the Saints signed him.
That secondary is not that great, but he was the best thing they had.
Led him in interceptions.
Yeah. I mean, that's not end-all, do-all, but...
You know what? The poor thing about Jeff Heath is he's a good player, but you always want better. Right? He's in that category. Like, well, I can do better than that, right? And maybe you can't. They always
say that about me, too, Spags. I understand exactly what you're saying. Keep on going. I'm right there with you, buddy. But no...
you got to keep an eye on the waiver wire next Tuesday.
If we're going to go for a quarterback, it won't be a young guy.
No.
We're definitely going for another Andy Dalton, somebody like that. And Andy might create an opportunity for us because you've got Nick Foles up there.
No, he's the starter.
Andy?
Yeah. Or at least they said he is.
Andy's the starter in Chicago?
For the first game.
For the first game, yep.
Huh.
Yeah, and so Foles is the...
Yeah, Foles still would be, to me, the guy that would be available. Would you? Would you?
Well, he makes $8 million right now, and so what is he willing to play for?
Big dead money too.
Yeah,
for them.
Yeah,
so
for them.
And so okay. So here's the other part of it. How much are you willing to spend as far as salary cap on the backup quarterback? What can you afford?
I would do what you did with Andy Dalton last year, $3 million base salary with incentives that you can make $7 million.
And just as an example of that, okay,
incentives we don't want him to make.
Right, exactly.
Just to give you a gauge on what some of the other teams who are considered contenders are spending on backup quarterbacks right now. I'm just familiar with Arizona because we just did their game. And Colt McCoy, his salary is $1.2 million, and
he's getting a lot of snaps.
And he's their backup quarterback to Kyler Murray. I think Chase Daniel's probably about the same with the Chargers. Veteran guys, whatever. And so those are in that realm. Foles is at $8 million. Dalton, what he's signed, is it $10 million?
But his guarantee's 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So yeah, if you can afford it, they don't have that much money on the salary cap remaining. So,
and that's why it's a pertinent question.
But whoever gets released and they look up and say, "Oh, the season starts in 12 days and I don't have a job." Yeah, you're probably not negotiating real hard, right? If you want to get a job. You're not going to start playing one team off another to see if somebody will sign me. But it has to be somebody with experience starting.
Right.
Right? I don't want a young guy that's, this guy's got some talent and they gave up on him.
And so if I'm hearing you right then, if it's got to be someone who has experience starting, there's nobody else on this roster who has real experience starting besides Dak Prescott.
No, absolutely. And it's the same thing where they're at the backup center spot. So they want Connor Williams to show he can do that.
So in Mickey Spagnola's mind, since this is Mick Shots, okay, what does Cooper Rush have to do on Sunday to win the backup quarterback job?
Repeat what he did Saturday night. And I'm not saying he has to throw 2 touchdown passes, but he's got to go in there and show that he has command of the offense, that he's got quiet feet, that he's not kind of looking around and doesn't know where to go with the ball.
And he has to show a mojo moment.
And
he has to show a mojo moment.
Yeah, they didn't do very well with the mojo moment in that game defensively. But yeah, those types of things that you're in control. Do you know when the play's over and I got to throw the ball away? I can't.
It's the small things.
I cannot get hit from behind in the pocket. I cannot get hit from behind.
And there are certain things we have to hang our hats on.
Mickey cut last week's starter on the first series of the game when he got hit from behind and fumbled. Right?
Can't happen.
You made the roster decision.
Yeah, that's right.
Then.
Right. Well, here I've got my roster decisions right here. By the way,
he's there. He's got his roster as he's watching the game, and he takes a black marker to him when he cuts them.
He and Coach McCarthy, y'all do that together.
We got together.
Yeah,
right?
I'm sure.
That's like today when he didn't understand Babe's question.
Yeah.
He thought Babe was asking him about somebody on the team that came out of nowhere that's going to make it. Right. Well, he was saying, in your past, did you have somebody that showed up in the 4th preseason game that just jumped out and you got to do it? And McCarthy goes, "Do you want me to laugh?
Is this a joke?
Is this a joke?" And he thought he was asking about this team.
That was very detailed.
Yeah, he thought he was asking about this team. And it's like, no, I'm not saying this team. I wouldn't do that. I was talking about in your...
Yeah, that would
put
someone else as the best horse in the race.
Right, yeah, he can't give away secrets, right? So then he came out with about 3 or 4 names, I think, that guys actually did that when he was. I was trying to find where it was. That
Sam Shields was one of them.
Sam Shields, yeah, absolutely.
What about one of his wide receivers?
It was Tim Boyle, Matt Flynn, Sam Shields, and I forgot his first name, Kumro.
Yeah. Jake Kumro was the wide
Jake
receiver.
Kumro. Yeah.
You know it had to be a wide receiver to come out.
Because somebody would do that, right?
That's right.
Because, if you go back, when we were in training camp a couple years ago, Lance Lenore was the star of Oxnard, right? And then they got to, I think it might have been the Hall of Fame game. And the lights came on, and he started fumbling punts. He was dropping passes. And all of a sudden, where'd that guy go from Oxnard? And that happens quite a bit.
But usually what happens in these games, and I remember this was about 15 years ago, Cowboys played the Vikings. Jeremy Urban returned a punt for a touchdown, and everyone's thinking, well, with that, he just won a spot on the roster. Tuesday came or Friday came or whatever the cut-down day was, and there he was, Jeremy Urban cut.
Well, I can remember Thousand Oaks. Who was the running back that was behind Tony at that time?
James Jones.
There was another guy.
What year are you talking about?
Like in the late 80s. And
Herschel Walker.
About to leave.
Yeah, no, it was a young, or no, you know who it might have been? It might have been a defensive back. Victor Scott.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was always great in Thousand Oaks, and then when it was time to play, it was like, where'd that guy go? That's who it was.
Yeah.
There was another running back, though. I would have to look at the media guide. It was like, this guy was great, and then all of a sudden when the game started, where'd that guy go?
Okay, when we come...
Jesse Holly would be another one. Minnesota game.
Jesse Holly.
That's right. He got himself a job returning that fumbled punt.
But he made the roster.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He made the roster just by one game.
Right. But there's plenty... I'd say 90% of the people who star in that final preseason game, they're getting cut anyway. Yeah.
Were you doing that game?
Yes, I was.
The Jesse Holly one?
No. Well,
No, Brad was doing it.
Okay.
Because he got mad. I was interviewing Romo on the sideline, and all of a sudden we hear this screaming, and Romo and I kind of looked up, and we saw it on the screen, and it's like, oh, this guy's going all the way. and I laid out, right? And I don't think they thought I was going to lay out. And so, yeah, he wasn't happy with me because he didn't get to call that play, I think.
It's just preseason, right?
Yeah.
No. Give me a break. It's just, okay. We don't.
Hey, Bill takes these preseason games
let him speak on
No,
this. That's like asking Bill about a cornerback thing. Throw it to me. I'm throwing that to
us
you.
Us play-by-play guys, we get very particular
go.
if you step on our call.
It happened this past game, actually.
What do you mean?
I mean, they were interviewing Randy Gregory on the sideline,
that's right.
and there's a big play, and
right.
I'm sure you just had to eat it, right?
Actually, Randy stopped talking when he saw what
He's
was
like,
happening.
we need some of that.
Randy stopped talking, and I have no idea if it got out on the air or not. I started calling the play.
Anyway, that's right. Don't step on my toes, baby.
We've heard enough from this guy on the sideline. Here's a touchdown. All right. We continue with more mix shots. Can't wait for the next read next.
At Smoothie King, we are blending goodness to fuel your greatness. Every blend is crafted to help you achieve your health and fitness goals. Smoothie King uses only whole fruits and organic veggies. You'll never find sugary syrups or artificial flavors, colors, or preservatives. And unlike some other smoothie places, there are 0 grams of added sugar in many of our blends. Smoothie King is proud to be the official smoothie of the Dallas Cowboys. Place your order in the app or online for pickup or delivery. Smoothie King, rule the day.
Hey Cowboys fans, ready to spice up your next watch party? Bring Yo Quiero guacamole and be the game day hero. Yo Quiero means I want, and we know you want great, fresh-tasting, ready-to-serve guacamole for your home gating and tailgating events. Made with real avocados and the perfect blend of spices, it will be the star of any party. You can find us at your local Albertsons or Tom Thumb in the deli section. If you can't find it, talk to your store manager and tell them, Yo Quiero guacamole.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys, and to support the quest of living life, The Cowboys Way. Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with United Ag and Turf. Before you can park yourself in front of the game, park yourself in a John Deere and power through your chores. Our Land Run package is a 1025R, 25 horsepower tractor with a loader, rotary cutter, and a box blade for $229 a month. And the price you see is the price you'll pay, no surprises. So don't miss another kickoff.
Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com. Offer ends February 1st, 2021. Restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Now let's get to work.
Back to Mick Shots.
Does your Cowboys fandom go beyond the game? The NFL Fan of the Year contest is back, and we're relaunching the search for one extraordinary Cowboys fan who is a positive influence and inspires others through their love of the game. Nominate yourself or others for a chance to win a trip to Super Bowl 56 in Los Angeles. Nominate today at DallasCowboys.com/fan of the year.
Oh, that was so boring and good. That was
got
boring.
Nothing to make fun of.
Nothing to make fun of.
All right, we just got 5 minutes left on this edition of Mick Shots. So where do you want to go with this last 5 minutes?
Well, how about things they still need to sort out in this last preseason game?
Okay.
And it's going to involve backups, right?
Yes, it is.
So we mentioned the quarterback. I'm still looking for that backup swing tackle. And it looks like it's come down to Ty Nsekhe and Terrence Steele. And now the backup center, if Connor Williams can't play on Sunday, because I'm sure they would have given him snaps with the first-team offense to show that he could maybe be the backup center, they may not get to look at that in another game. And now they got to make a decision. Do we trust him and his snaps in the game? Do we go with Farniak, who may not be as good a blocker? And then other than that, you got to keep your eye on the waiver wire, I think, because that's kind of a significant position. And I don't know if they want to talk Joe Looney out of retirement, but if they did.
He did retire? I thought he went to another team.
No, he went to the Giants.
Well, okay. I guess the key is
they would have to trade for him.
Did he file his paperwork?
Yeah, and
they announced him as retired,
right?
But I don't know if he filed the paperwork or not.
Yeah, exactly. Because if the Giants could have put him on retired reserve, and then you would have to trade something for him to get him off of that. That's why I think
may have been what they did.
I remember the story. Tex could never take Roger off the retired reserve list. He just couldn't do it. He kept him there just in case I need him.
Well, he's still out there trying to play.
Right? Yeah,
he's still out there throwing the ball, so I can understand that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of looking forward to. I was looking forward to secondary making a lot more plays. This defensive line, and especially the front seven, they've been doing very well. They've been putting the pressure down. And I was looking forward to players in the secondary making plays during the most important time of the game. You know, closing out the half. Of course, those last drives that we have that ended up in points for the opposing offense. I want to see someone come in, and I've seen guys that are making tight coverage. I've seen that. You can see improvement in how we approach the tackles. We are more coordinated in our attack. I'm still looking for that person to make the drive-ending play. You know, Darius Thompson is really feasting off of what the front seven is doing, because so we're using him in a very strategic manner when it comes to blitzes and things of that nature. When it comes to run blitzes as well, we've been doing very well as far as our effectiveness, yards per carry, yards per catch. But I haven't seen the secondary make that play that takes us off the field. And when you start doing that in preseason, that's where you want to do it. Because in preseason, where it starts and then it goes into the season, I haven't seen that player. Nashawn Wright's been going for it. I like the way he's doing it. I haven't seen that player, though, able to make the play to where you say, okay, that was strategic. We know that was his game plan. He didn't just stumble into it. This is a guy that we know can have the intellect to make game-saving plays and drive-ending plays.
So the unfortunate thing for Sunday is how many of those guys are they going to let play, like the front line guys. And from a cornerback standpoint, the way without Diggs in there today, the way they were running the cornerbacks ended up. Well, actually, the first team was Kelvin Joseph, and Anthony Brown, and then the second team ended up being
Wright,
Nashawn Wright, and I wrote down the number. I think maybe Gilbert even played some more out there. Let me look at my list of DBs, and I'll tell you who.
And so with
there.
Wilson, how long is he out?
We haven't heard.
We haven't heard that yet. Like how long that's going to be.
He's key to me
because they really need him. Now you can probably start Curse and KZ at the safety position. I think they would love to have him out there. Kelvin Joseph will probably be a backup, and you got Maurice Kennedy, so you can still have a decent number of guys there, and we'll see how that works out.
How was his training camp, and how was his?
Well, see, he missed some time in the off season with was it a groin again, and he missed some time.
So
and then in training camp, he's been working with the first. So
he should have been.
He was a starter.
Yeah. Okay.
So
we've talked about the safeties being depleted with the COVID, but really, I mean, if they're going to rest, they won't play Diggs for sure. Okay, and if they don't play Anthony Brown, are they going to play Kelvin Joseph?
I would think so.
I mean, you're down to not much at cornerback.
You have to play Joseph and
you're saying
Wright.
that they will play Joseph?
I think so.
Yeah,
yes,
I think so too.
Joseph and Wright.
So Joseph and Wright, if they rested or if they did not play Diggs and Brown and Jordan Lewis,
you might have to play Jordan Lewis and Maurice Kennedy.
Why wouldn't you play Brown?
Just being a veteran guy.
He's your veteran starter.
Brown needs all the work he can get.
Yeah, I know. I know.
But here's what you don't
Plus
want.
He's young. But he's young, though.
Here's the reason.
They cannot lose him.
Here is the reason that you don't play a starter 11 days before your opener in a meaningless game. It's not the catastrophic injury, the ACL or whatever. It's a sprained ankle that's going to keep him out 11 days from now. It's something like that. And that's why they rest the starters more than anything.
Here's another one. Greg Zuerlein came off PUP today, so he actually kicked in live action. 5 of 8. 5 of 8.
5 of 8 from what distance?
Various. It
doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter.
And one of them
if they were beyond 50.
No. I'm with you, Spags. I can tell by your body language it's not that.
No more than 45. and it's like, he's ready to go. We're going to kick him, and he only needs a couple weeks to get ready. And I was like, well, Fossil has a lot of confidence in him.
You've got a longing for Lirum?
I not say who I have a longing for.
They just cut Lirum. I'm sure he's still in town.
He missed his flight. He's still at DFW.
They didn't like how his last name was spelled, right?
Hairulahu.
Yeah, Hairulahu. Uh-huh. And so, that one, he's got a kick, right? I'm would like to see more field goal attempts Sunday than touchdowns.
Do you think Steve Berline can make 5 out of 8?
Steve Berline.
We said the other day. We said the other day we were talking Zuerlein and we accidentally said Berline and
he might do just as well.
That's okay. When I've done it again, and I told them about this. Instead of saying Donovan Wilson, I would say Donovan Lewis. And so when I saw Donovan, who works at the ticket, right, at training camp, I said, I just promoted you to starting safety, so you better live up to the billing.
I can't even remember the players' names on this show, and we're on the Cowboys network. So
I need to see some field goal attempts. Like if it's 3rd and 5 and they're at the 20, throw an incompletion. I want to see
Zuerlein
some
out there. He hadn't shown enough.
And I want to see the deep snapper snap, right? I mean, he's got to be perfect.
To live up to the guy who's replacing, right?
We saw, 15, 16 years of perfection?
Doesn't matter that Jake McQuaid has been a Pro Bowler in his career, been in the league for 10 years. Mickey's got to see something from him.
Well, see, that's like I wanted to see Brown. The same thing. I want to see this young man get out there and make some plays. And he's going against, right, the first team. offense for Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I want to see him make plays. He's too young.
It doesn't matter if he can make them or not. He's got to start.
Yeah, he's got to start.
What have you done for me lately?
That's right.
That's right.
Okay, that does it.
What have we done for everybody lately? A lot over this hour.
Yeah, we've gone beyond an hour, in fact.
We have.
All right, we'll do it again on Friday at 2 o'clock. It'll be our Jacksonville pregame show.
Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?